So fellas, it's been a while since I had a chunky van video, but this is going to be a big one. I think we're going to be able to crank the engine during this video. I've had a lot of help with the wiring. Shannon from here in town has been coming over in the evenings and helping out with this. I bought a battery. He's been doing all this nice wiring. He does such a good job. It's all taped up nice, routed nicely. Got the solenoid here, wiring that goes into the body, 2 new battery cables, brand new battery. The alternator is wired up. Of course, I don't have it hooked up with a belt or anything yet. Water temperature gauge. The distributor is in place. He did a little bit of body wiring, got a new headlight connector here. Other one was fine. The horn does work, but I only have one hooked up right now. It should be dual notes. The wiper is even working from the switch. Let me show you. All right, inside the vehicle, we're gonna got an oil pressure gauge here, voltmeter. The starter does engage fine. We've got lights. Now the headlights are not sitting in there, but we've checked the tail lights. They both worked fine. And you know, this van was parked 25 years ago. To see these lights working, and even the brake lights work when you press the brake. So that means the brake switch is fine. Now I did notice none of the instrument lights are coming on. But let's try the wipers. Okay, we gotta have the ignition on to try the wipers. Now, one thing about the body wiring, and here's the fuse box in the glove box here, but the dome light and cigarette lighter, which the cigarette lighter is probably one of these, probably this, and it is not working due to the fuse box wiring being bad. But we're gonna work that out in time. So one of the strangest things I've seen is that the turn signals are not flashing, but the emergency flashers will. And I know that some vehicles have 2 flashers, one for the turn and one for emergency. But upon looking under here, I only saw the one. So that's going to be a mystery for now. Oh, we've got a visitor. Overall, I'm really happy with how the body wiring is held up on this van over the years. I'm extremely pleased with how well Shannon has wired up this engine compartment here. Couldn't ask for no better. And now I have something really special. One of our viewers has sent me a package. Wouldn't accept a payment even for shipping the stuff. Let's do a box opening right now. This is something I was missing. A glove box liner. And that thing is in great shape. Love it. Alright, but not only that, we have more. Let's see what we got here. A glove box door hinge and the mount. And I guess that's where it clips. All this stuff was missing from my bag. All right. This stuff looks great. All right, there it is. I won't have to sit and stare at that big wide opening anymore. That is a thing of beauty. Wow, all right. This is great. This one has the full instrumentation. Fuel, volt, temperature, and oil. And the lens is much better than what I have. This base model van came with fuel, an idiot light for, I think, voltage, and an idiot light for oil pressure, and a temperature gauge. So 2 idiot lights, 2 gauges. Now I have a full instrumentation and a much better plastic. Now here's my plastic that I had, and as you can tell, that's terrible. And that's even after me trying to polish it. It just doesn't come out. So that is a huge win. So I want to give a very public and big shout out to @Shake the Frost. That's Raymond. @Shake the Frost here on YouTube for hooking me up with those parts. They're going to come in so handy and help this van get back on the road again in all its glory. I hope there's someday that I can help repay you for that. So just let me know anytime. He has a van a lot like this. And who knows, maybe we'll meet someday at a van show or something. You never know. He's from the West Coast though, so it's hard. But we'll see. I cannot do an engine break-in without the cooling system. So this is the radiator that I got. Okay, I'm realizing there's supposed to be a C nut right here and right here. There's already one here, and this goes into the body. It's already got a nut on it. So I need 2 C nuts. Prior to putting that in, I tightened up the fan clutch with this special tool. It's very thin, it can get in there. And I rented that. So let's take a look. We've got the upper radiator hose goes from here to straight up right here, and if I'm not mistaken, on the 240 it turned this way, so I'm gonna have to find probably a specialty hose from here to here. I might be able to find one that was for a van, maybe not this exact year, maybe an 80s van, just an idea. I don't know. Let's see what else we've got here. There's always a lot of stuff happening in this area in a van. But we've got, there's where the lower radiator hose goes to the radiator on the passenger side. And of course then the bottom of the water pump right there. So that's going to have to come down, miss the alternator bracket, and then go straight in to there. That shouldn't be too difficult. That's just one simple bend. This top one might be a little more complicated because it needs to come up, bend, and then bend another time in. And then of course we have transmission lines. There are also some heater hoses, one here, and they're just going to go straight to these ports here. I hope that I can just buy a straight heater hose and bend it just enough without it kinking. But this one might need to have a pre-bent curve in it. This one here is just going to go straight. So that's lucky. So for the upper radiator hose, I bent this rod here and took it to the store, found a hose with the right diameter and the general shape. Came up with this 22484, and it comes up, it misses the fan blades, and I think it's perfect. I did have to trim it a little bit, but other than that, it's perfect. Look, I was putting coolant in and water started pouring out right there, so I gotta find a plug for this. All right, I just looped the heater hoses around, and now I'm putting the good old green stuff in. All right, now with that full, only other thing to button up fluid wise is the transmission fluid. And since the engine has spun over, I can go ahead and put the rest of the transmission fluid in. But first, I'm going to have to put the fluid cooling lines. And I noticed when I was under the other day, the fittings are not the right size. So I went to the store and got them. So here's a comparison. Line comes in from this direction and goes into the radiator here, so it was a small difference. Here's one of the lines, and now it's a flare connection there. About a month or two ago, I put this note so I'd know how many I'd already put in. 4 quarts, and it's going to need about 4.5 more quarts. So I just did the 15-minute break-in period. I don't have a tach, but I just revved it up to over 1,000, maybe 1,200 to 1,500 RPM, maybe, I don't even know. And I let it run for 15 minutes. The gauge was showing that it was quite hot, but if you can reach in and hold like that. Now it is hot, but you can hold it. So I know it's not too warm. So I checked the transmission fluid and I have run out. I'm gonna have to probably get 1 more quart. I have a small leak right over here under the oil pressure sending unit. I had quite a saga with this fuel pump. The original one did not work. I went and got another one. It was so strong somehow that it was flowing gas out of the carburetor. I took the carburetor in thinking something was wrong with it, and they said, well, you need to check your fuel pressure first. It should be getting like 4.5, maximum 7. So I got a gauge. Show you the gauge. Here's the gauge. And that fuel pump was pegging the needle out to what? Way past 15, 20. And so I am taking that fuel pump back, and I ordered another one. The one I had to send back was this Carter, and the one that worked for me was a Delphi. Now, without this fuel pressure regulator that I bought, it was putting out about 7 pounds. It really needs to be about 4.5. So I adjusted this little dial here until I was getting 4.5 pounds. And everything's good now. It's running on its own. Once I get enough transmission fluid and fix a couple of leaks, just this one that I know of actually, we should be in business. Maybe try maiden voyage around the yard or something.